Make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, we are going to, everybody should have in your blue folder, the information that the candidates submitted. And there, if you look at this page, they're out of, not in the same order that we're interviewing them, but they're candidate 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
And then if you haven't had a chance to look over their application and their letter of interest, they are there. Their first interview is at 7:15, so we can take, I don't know if you don't want to discuss them ahead of time, do we?
If you'd like to, you can. Certainly, any thoughts that you have based on the paper application, of course.
Any questions on those?
So everyone is qualified. They've gone through the.
Residency and registration program.
Okay. Well, if Donnie doesn't come, do you want to?
I mean, because the seat's up in spring.
Yep.
So we want to see, is this something that you're willing to go through
Oh,
process?
so it's just now, I mean, they'll get, on whoever gets on the
Yeah,
now,
they're
it's done in June.
They have to be voted in June, so it expires.
Voted in June or a month for election.
Before, but they have to, well, they can decide or not, maybe they just want this term, maybe they.
But I mean,
have
if they
intention.
want to run again,
I think we should maybe bring
That
that
might
up.
be a-
Certainly.
But that was part of in the announcement also, that they had to run, for for election in 2023.
We can't require them to do that, but certainly
Yeah, if
highly
they-
encourage, and that may be
No,
a decision-making point.
They were just notified. that's when the
Notified,
position
so-
was up, yeah.
I mean, they may decide after a few evenings with us that they don't want to spend the time.
I'm gonna pass that to Pat. Okay.
So who else is going to,
You and I and Darren's gonna go part of the time or all the time? Thursday,
and Megan,
Friday,
are you gonna go to the,
to Saturday?
are you going to,
No, because I will just be getting back from another conference,
Oh,
and it's
that's
right before one meeting.
Understand.
I'd be gone like all week, so.
I'll go with you to Nashville. Yeah, I might have to do question 5, but yes.
Yes.
And she said they got him a plaque and we're trying to get a gift card for dinner or something.
Where'd my questions go? Oh, I think they're right there.
And, please, I think it worked really well last time. We took a few notes so that when we were discussing them, I just remember Pat would say, well, I don't know what they said.
Yeah.
You know, so if you write a few notes, it will help us differentiate between the.
I did put the interview questions right there, because I think you had them, you let them kind of look over them,
Oh, ahead of time?
if you don't want to.
yeah, that's,
fine.
I think that's fair. Because they should-
Right. I mean, I think in our position here, we try not to spring things on each other, so if they want to be part of the team, then that's usually kind of the protocols to be forthcoming.
So you know that?
Hi, nice to see you.
You're over there. Your question number 5.
What?
Your question number 5.
Okay.
Our first interview's in 10 minutes. We're just kind of looking over their stuff in this blue folder. So our first interview will be candidate number, no, candidate number 4.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying, we gotta make sure that our first interview will be candidate number 4. Sure. So. I'll write their names at the top, so I can get confused.
I think so, because nobody's in this except for
No,
us.
we're not allowed to do that.
And after
Did
that,
you get that?
that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
And candidate number 3 will be second.
Okay, are we all satisfied with the questions, or do we want to add, subtract?
I felt like they were still relevant.
Yeah. Okay, so if we do it in order, we'll do candidate 4, 3, 1, 2.
That's the order.
Are you gonna bring them in? Let them in the room. We'll have to get her.
I'll check on it, but yeah, we have a little, I'll check and make sure that. No, but someone's here instead of vacant
Nobody's
buildings.
gonna do number 5.
And I do know.
Yeah, and I'll just welcome them and introduce myself, and if you guys wanna just kinda go around and tell us who you are.
I thought it would just be nice, just as, we should introduce ourselves because they might not all know who we are.
That's everybody.
Here's his card, and I think I signed those. I didn't.
I got mine.
I got mine.
I think it was on it when I got
It was Pat's.
Oh, Pat has mine.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's not there. 4, 3, 1, 2.
So we have someone here.
And then
Yes.
she's first. I don't think we should give her more time than anybody else.
No.
We said 7:15. So.
I guess we're trying to be secretive and invite them in here and go to the camera, so we're not saying anything.
Right.
Right?
Right there.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so I guess we need to refer to that by the name now, not the number.
Oh, when we talk to them.
It's on the camera, everybody can see.
Right.
We just,
We don't wanna say you're candidate 4.
No, but after we're all done, we can say, I thought candidate 2 was blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. I thought candidate 1 was.
Who else is up for election besides that position in mind?
Oh, yours is 2?
Yeah.
Should be one more.
I think it's Alicia. Is it?
No,
No, it's not Dawn. It's Dawn.
And May, June.
Because ours was 4.
Right.
Because I was thinking I'd be in it the whole time that Ellie was in high school, so. It's not. Why are they different?
Those are 4 years.
They're all 4, and so
It's like the Olympics.
that's gonna be on the policy that we have. If you look in your packets, I left that blank because you as a board get to decide that.
Oh.
Yeah, you get to decide. Is it 3-year or 4-year? There's a couple of decisions, yeah.
If you go through an election and it hasn't been 4 years, it's probably because you were appointed.
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering, I mean, I had, but I think that, the election was probably, I think it was probably, I don't know, I thought it was pretty.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was appointed and I, had to run to fill out a permit. And that term ended, so I ran again. Then I ran again. I mean,
Look how experienced you are.
and that was in 4 years.
Wow.
So I, it was a little confusing.
It may needs a water, there's water.
You're the longest serving? That's the longest serving.
Which is scary because
just a few
I've been on this board for 4 years.
Wasn't you
Just
just on it?
barely. In fact, it won't be 4 years until next month.
Yeah, so he was on it for like 20.
Yeah,
What's that other guy that's been on there?
Don Bullard.
Well, it says the reason we never got anything is because he always said no.
Pretty frugal. Good guy. Yeah, he was over 40 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Wow, he comes to all sorts of stuff.
He does still, yeah.
And he's at every ball game.
I saw him at Kelsey's wedding.
So,
And I know at state, I always see him,
yes.
basketball.
Very supportive, very much a fan of the kids in the school.
So anything else we want to discuss before we start? I mean, as far as our interview technique.
You know, I think there's this fine line between taking notes of what they're saying and maintaining eye
attention.
contact. It's kind of hard to judge that. Everybody's a little different. Certainly they want to feel heard. I think it's important to let them know the timeline, you know. You have 5 questions and you have, 15 minutes or whatever. And, if they have questions at the end.
Yeah, I wrote down, that's on mine.
And if you've gone through the questions and answered them yourself, it can be done pretty succinctly.
But when you're
Of course, Donnie,
on
you.
the fly, you're
you
kind
just
of
question.
like,
recently. So like,
Yeah, you've been through this.
well, until it has too.
doing this quite often, and it's obviously not the same questions, but similar format that we do with, our reserve and full-time officers, so.
You still haven't hired anybody?
What's that?
You still haven't hired anybody?
No, in fact, I just got 2 applicants.
Oh,
We're gonna have 3 by Friday, for sure. So, speaking, looking better. Then we gotta start filling our reserves, we already set 2 interviews for, or 2 dates for hiring for, few reserve positions we have open, so.
Wow, you're busy.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
It never stops.
and they almost have to go through a background check and everything.
Yeah, so we're going, require not only a background check, but a psychological evaluation for being reserve officers now.
It's a psychological thing, a new
Run
thing,
through
I've
the walk
always
around.
said that.
It's been, oh, gosh, you can start.
Okay, are you guys ready?
In fact, that was the last.
Kim did it for
Oh, we
us.
should have.
Yeah, we'd be scared.
It was fun, yeah. It was funny because they heard me, later they brought one and hit me for psychic, I think it's after 2 weeks.
Wow.
But we've been doing it for quite a long time, but, it's very new for reserves. We just started last year.
Good evening, there's a chairman.
Great, good to see you.
Welcome to our interviews tonight. We do have a list of questions, the questions that we will be asking there, so you might take a second and look them over. We're just gonna go around and introduce ourselves. I'm sure you know most of us. I'm Susie Ramos. I'm the board chair.
Jeremy Peterson.
Alicia Moore.
Don Wood.
Pat Marnoka.
Megan Robbins.
and Dr. Johnson. We just wanted to remind you that this is a position that will be open, and then if whoever gets it will have to rerun in June. And we're just gonna ask you a couple of questions and give you time to ask us questions if you'd like.
Okay, and remember, it's only our time.
Oh, we have 15 minutes before the next interview, so we're gonna try and keep it moving. Okay?
Okay, and you've had a chance to just take a glance at the questions before we.
It's okay, don't be serious.
Okay, you ready? Okay, I get to ask the first question. Tell us why you would think your background has prepared you to be a good school board member.
I was a student here at Kinsa. I am a parent now here at Kinsa School District, and I've also been an employee for Kinsa School District. I've actually started in education back in 2003 as an instructional assistant improvement. Came to NISA as an instructional assistant in 2004. here for about 6 years, went to early childhood, also worked summer school while working here in early childhood. I've done everything from home visiting to teaching to being an ed coordinator to running a center to now I got transferred back in March to the Ontario Center to also learn operations, not just for one center but for two. And so I'm learning about USDA transportation and facilities besides the education and family health services. So I think 19 years in education with 9 years of management. And I think that provides quite a perspective on education, knowing the actual classroom parts to the way that they operate. Thank you.
What do you see as your main role as a school board member?
Thought about this. So for me, a school board member is someone that creates and implements the school vision and goals. So what do you guys want to get out of the education? How are we creating this, and how are we making it, putting it into action?
As a school board, we have an idea of the qualities we want in a school board member. What do you think some of those qualities are?
Like I said, I've grown up in this area. I've been here pretty much my whole life. As being first generation American, I think I have a different perspective to bring to the table. I can relate to the community, relate to a lot of the students. I also think I'm a lifelong learner, so this is definitely something I would like to continue to learn and just help, just to kind of help the next generation and kind of see where the school goes and make sure that it's going in a forward direction.
That's great. With your husband working for the district, how do you think you could deal with potential conflicts of interest, such as not favoring him or other family members and keeping things confidential that you might hear on a sensitive topic?
I can see that.
We have others who have a similar situation, so it's not unheard of.
No, and I get that. We deal with that at work as well. We have multiple families where some are in management and some are frontline staff. So confidentiality is a big thing. It's always been a big thing, especially for where I work. So certain things I know aren't supposed to be shared, can't be shared. I do respect that and take that into account when I'm wearing my work hat versus my personal. And to be honest, I can separate the two. I've done it before and can continue to do it.
That's great.
Okay. Last but not least, what are one or two major issues you see facing this school district today? Also, what role do you think a school board member plays in solving these issues?
I don't think this is very different from where I'm coming from OCDC, and I think a lot of the schools in the Mountain View County are kind of facing the same thing. I would say children's attendance, especially right after COVID, even enrollment. I've noticed enrollment changes in the community. More parents are, I think, wanting to appreciate their loved ones a little more. Staffing, openings, and finding quality staff. Not just trying to fill a void, but trying to fill a void with someone that is a great fit, not only for that position, but for the cohort and for the whole district. Those are some of the things that I've seen. What are some of the roles that school board member would play in solving that? I think just working together and seeing what's out in the community, what's doing a lot of parent involvement. Why is our attendance low? What can we do to help support the parents to understand? Being first generation American, I know some parents are naive to what goes on in school. And my parents weren't involved very much because they didn't know how. I think just trying to reach the families and kind of seeing what are some of those barriers and making decisions based on what can reflect from the community. I think would be a way that we can help solve some of that. And also recruitment. Our pool, our area has very minimal pool, so just trying to get some of our graduates to come back and be potential staff members, I think would be a great way to also solve some of those problems as well.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
Maybe just one, no matter what the decision about tonight goes or how it goes. If there's any subcommittees, like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. I like to pick up new skills and new traits and just learn new things about the school and how they work. So I love an opportunity just to be part of the community.
And you are bilingual?
I am bilingual. Sorry.
That's fine. It's fun to
Yes, I actually came into the school district not knowing English. My parents knew at some point I would pick it up eventually. So nothing but Spanish spoken at home.
How old were you?
When I was fluent, probably about 8 when I started, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually started kindergarten here, but just learning to pick it up and figure it out. And back then it was AM or PM kindergarten, and so I had 2 different teachers. Because I had got to the opportunity to be here full day. So.
Do we have any other questions for her? Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
And thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
So that is the end of the report.
Oh, this was the same names,
That was Angelica.
So, trying to work through the names.
Yes. Oh, we have a few minutes. We want to give it one more time. Any answer, if you want to remember anything and jot it down or.
But I'm never on the track here.
It's gotta be under 40, because once you hit 40, everything goes in here and out there.
I'll go with that. I'm
You're not
gonna
40 yet,
go.
are you?
No, I'm saying that.
Are you 40 yet?
Almost.
39.
Really?
9 tenths.
45.
I was gonna say.
Almost with that, what,
It's 46.
what's that?
46.
I'm having a big one this week, but that's all I'm saying.
You are? 53. Is that the bigger?
My grandfather said 19. She's 5.
Anything over 5 is old.
You must be telling her stories, I don't know what you believe.
But she got student of the week at her whole school last week.
Sure.
Okay,
So Kelly's gonna be the next one.
then Marty go.
I'm interested to put a face
Me
with
too.
Maribel because
When
I.
she walks in, we'll probably say, oh, I know who
Exactly,
she is.
yes.
Yeah, I know she is. So.
Yeah.
Well, do you like them? Hopefully not through your word.
Well, yes, but she
That's the one we're chasing down.
Yeah, she's not no rapture, just what that is.
That's good.
Oh, that only took 10 minutes.
Well, we interviewed her before.
Yeah.
And say, poor girl have to go through it twice.
Yeah, she interviewed one of
Right. Yeah. And she was a strong candidate. That it wasn't really a tough
so I can see
decision.
why, just listening to her.
Well, and when you look at her letter, she's a lot of experience. You don't have, I was gonna say, you don't have employees in middle school?
Not this year.
My employees would, yeah, because we're playing football right now.
Well, mine are playing football very much.
And one is on call for the ambulance, and he's sitting in the top row, his pickup's like, I'm like, Hope you don't get a call.
I'll slow them down.
Right, I did last night. There's one tomorrow. Kurt has one Saturday.
On
No,
Friday.
it's on Friday.
I was gonna say. Well, Robert had said Mac, I didn't have enough players, but he said they do or something.
Yeah, so Robert said they didn't originally, and, then today I saw this morning, you know, working,
So,
Are they gonna do what they did last year? Where the JV plays?
I have no idea. I think that's what they're
no,
concerned about.
Freewater's like 6,000 people. How can they not have enough?
Oh, I have families from that area.
Yeah.
And like where I'm from, so tell me.
That's not where they go right now. They go just about anywhere they can go.
That's
That's
not
not
bad.
Well,
That's why I have like 4 families from there.
Wow.
Well, was doing the same thing, that's why they canceled on
Adrian,
Adrian.
on their homecoming, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
They're the ones that cancel that. Oh, yeah.
So they just forfeit and don't show up?
They only have like 4 or 5 kids.
I know, but for your homecoming game, what a letdown to not be able to play and have all the
Yeah, there's,
activities.
Are you ready?
Yes, we are.
Hi Kelly.
Good evening, let's sit right here. We all. And we have a list of the questions right there, if you wanna take a minute and look them over. And while you're doing it, we're gonna go around and introduce ourselves. I'm sure you know most of us. I'm Susie Ramos, I'm the chair, former teacher here in Nissa.
I'm Jeremy Peterson.
I'm Alicia Munn.
Pat Maranaka. Megan Robbins.
So if you wanna take just a second and look those over so you're not surprised, and we'll begin in just a minute. We also wanted to let you know that this position that we're interviewing for is up for election in June.
Are you ready? I get to ask the first question. Tell us why you think your background has prepared you to be a good school board member.
So back in, 2014, I began working at the school as an IA. I worked for, I think it was 3 years. I worked mostly with 5th grade, 1 year with 4th grade, and then kind of dabbled in other grades depending on where they needed you. I worked with the teachers planning for like a 5th grade field trip, for Teacher Appreciation Week. You know, we just, it seems like I was able to see the needs that were needed. And I felt the teachers were very underappreciated and they just needed some appreciation. Also, I worked with Nikki Shira in the STEM Hub for a couple years as her educational assistant there. And we went around teaching teachers and students science and technology and activities that we could do with them. I've also worked for a local law firm where I did a lot of the budgeting, the HR part of it, billing and so forth. And so I have a good range of skills that help, that would, I believe would help in that position.
What do you see as your main role as a school board member?
I see my main goal to be an advocate for our schools, to work with the rest of you to provide a good school for our children and for our staff to work at.
As a school board, we have an idea of qualities that we want in the school board member. What do you think those qualities would be?
I would think someone that is, I'm just gonna just lay it out there, just the way I see it. Someone that's not gonna be like, I want it this way. Someone that's gonna work with everybody, be able to express what they feel would be a correct way, and be able to also compromise with the rest of the board, and be able to be lenient on things that maybe you feel are important, and be able to understand other people's point of views. Also feel friendly would be, I don't think you want someone that's gonna be
cranky and grumpy the whole time and just come in trying to push everyone around. So I would assume someone friendly, someone that can stand their ground when it comes to maybe board meetings that get heated from the community or something, a team player. How will you deal with potential conflicts of interest, such as not favoring family members and keeping confidentiality of sensitive topics? So in a lot of the areas I've worked, a lot of them are confidential, especially at the law firm, those things are confidential. And it's just simply, I can't talk with you about this, you know. If it's a conflict with family, it's like basically a different life. When I worked at the law firm, life was at work. I mean, this was work life, this was home life, and there's things my family never knew. And like one instance, a friend of ours had talked to my husband about something going on in his life, and my husband relayed that to me, and I'm sitting there thinking, I already know all this. And so there's definitely not an issue, but it's, I understand there will conflicts do come up, and there will be times where family doesn't agree or close friends don't agree, and that's just the way it is. And, I had that conversation with my husband. I know there'll be people that'll get mad because I stand a different stance on something than what they will, and they're just gonna have to learn to love me for who I am, I guess, or for the decisions we make. So.
What are one or two major issues you see facing as a school district today? And what role do you think a school board member plays in solving these issues?
I think my biggest concern is not the last couple years, but we've seen a lot of overturn of staff. And that's worrisome to me, is to see that overturn. You know, what's causing that overturn? Is it salary? Is it they're just not happy, or are they here just to get that experience and move on to where they want? And I don't know exactly how, as a school board member, what access I would have to help figure that out, but I'd hope there'd be a way as a board member we can figure out how to retain our staff, how we can be competitive in that market where they want to stay here. And the other is, I see a lot of issues with just kids struggling. You know, I see a lot with, we have like, and this is, I know, a hot topic and kind of the hard one, but we have like our migrant things, and we have low-income families. And a big one for me is we have our migrant summer program, but it doesn't service those that aren't migrant unless they pay for it. And if they're low income, they can't afford it. And so I feel like not all of our kids are getting serviced. And to me, that is a big issue for me, that it needs to be, something needs to be addressed and changed in that area. And I feel like as a board member, that's something we could discuss and work towards making sure all of our students are serviced to their needs, and if they need that, and their needs are met.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
No, not off the top of my head. I think maybe it's been pretty upfront about what kind of the sequence of things.
So you might have any other questions for Kelly?
I do, and it's more for our benefit as a board. You said that, you mentioned some teacher, that there's a lack of teacher appreciation. Where do you think that comes from? Is it from administration? Is it from the district, the board? Where do you think that comes from?
So when I worked at the grade school, it felt like a lack from, like it felt like you have your IAs, your instructional assistants, and then you have your teachers. And I've heard that things have been starting to change, so I can't speak for current, but
it just felt there was a separation. And like, I hear the IAs always complain about the teachers, and I was like, that just doesn't seem right to me. It seems like the teachers need, I know as IAs, we're doing a lot, but I felt the teachers needed a lot more support from those IAs. I felt some of the current staff at that time wasn't as supportive as they should have been. Some of the admin at the grade school wasn't as supportive. I can't speak for the junior high or high school, I didn't work in those areas. But I felt they would load the teachers, they'd find a teacher that was willing to do everything, and they would just push everything on this teacher, and the teacher started to drown, and they don't have the help to try to do all that stuff, so I wanted to help ease that burden. And so when it came to the appreciation part, I felt that, you know, they're doing a lot, and they're doing a lot not on the clock for these students. I mean, they're raising our students, they have our students most of the day. They're doing more for our students now than, you know, we've ever asked them to. They're being their parents for them, and I feel they need so much support, and they need that appreciation, so we don't lose them, because we need our good teachers here, and we need our good admin here. To give our kids the best, we need to give them the best. And I've sent 6 kids through, I have 3 left, you know, 4 years left with them, but we're invested in this, and I want it to be a place that people want their kids to come, not send them to other schools because they're not getting what they want.
Thank you. Any other questions? Alrighty, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kelly.
I can't say that she was in charge of teacher appreciation, it was nice. We had lunch every day
What's that?
when she was in charge of teacher appreciation.
I appreciate your question, Jeremy.
I hear that all the time. There's a lack of appreciation for the teachers. Like, okay, well, where's that coming from? You know, and what is the lack? Why don't you feel
I
appreciated?
agree though with what she's saying, cause
I've
like
seen-
just
you
even the
take
carnival.
one good teacher.
Yeah, the carnival, I made cotton candy every year for how many years? And there were probably 10 or 15 teachers who wouldn't, I don't want the carnival. And here I am, me and my husband, cotton candy coming out of my ears, you know, and you just keep piling stuff on certain people, and certain people don't do anything.
You see that other, throw out there, you see that other places.
Well, you see that in every business. I mean, someone steps up and then they get all the work.
Oh, and I would get there at 6:30 to get stuff ready, and so I get the copy machine before anybody. Some people come at 8 and leave at 4. And just different. But I could never get everything done. I didn't come early.
Do you think if there would have been more IAs to do the copying, that would have
She
been?
was my IA and she did do a really good job. In my opinion, people her age and older, because I remember in Leanna, if they didn't have a duty, they would come to the teachers and say, hey, I have 15 minutes to use it. But the younger ones, the 20-year-olds, would be sitting in the staff and with their feet up, drinking a Coke and, you know.
Is there a gap between IAs and teachers as
Yes.
far as?
There was when I was there.
Yeah, and that's been
They,
concerning.
because they have to do recess duties and we don't, and so a lot of them would be not happy about that. But we kept kids in and worked with them and tried to take a bathroom break and, you know, prep for your next lesson or whatever. It's not like we were.
Well, if you were taking a breather, it's probably because you needed a breather.
No, it's because you had to run to the bathroom.
Right.
It's been 3 hours since the last time you've
I
gone.
run to the bathroom only a few minutes.
Right.
I was like, ooh, can I make it? No.
Sometimes it's like 3.5, 4 hours.
You're a good time me.
You know, that's one of the things with this 40-30 is increasing the culture, bettering the culture of the district. which means, you know, getting people to feel like they're wanted,
Appreciated.
appreciated, wanted, so, you know, people will work together.
Well, that's why I was really happy that we gave them a raise. We can't offer them housing here in Mesa, we can't offer a lot of things, but if we gave them a competitive wage,
But I don't think the wages is, I mean, it's always an issue, but I don't think that's the biggest issue with the appreciation thing. I think it's, you've got teachers, you've got IAs, and they're not on the same level. So they're never gonna
And when
treat each other like they are on the same level.
and they have a meeting for the IAs, they have their staff meetings,
Yeah.
and we have our meetings, but we never had one
It's
together.
segregated.
That's,
Right, and we need more team building together.
Yeah, and we
That's
needed
really
time to
team
do that,
building.
like a day on the calendar, a half day where they could.
And those teachers that work hard, that get everything piled on, love and appreciate the IAs because they help them with that work. But if the IAs don't treat them the same way back, and it goes both ways, but.
My niece just got a job at the elementary as an aide, and I said, I'm not ever hear of you sitting on your butt on a sofa in the teacher's room. I said, you help the
you know,
teachers.
and one of the things that concerns me is, as a board, we don't go visit, you know.
And I kind of feel awkward, like, just walking in, I feel like somehow they'll think that we're
Spying on them.
checking
You
in.
know, and I've had that feeling
Yeah.
before, because I've gone to the high school and, you know, for a meeting and just
Like, wow.
walk in and it's like,
I used to kind of get worried about that, because I mean.
Everyone's always suspicious of you.
Well, well, the other piece is, working as an SRO, I still have a lot of connection with the school, with people like, you know, harass the kids or.
Well, and when's that school lunch thing that we're supposed to do? Was that next week?
it's the week after.
Okay, because I was gonna say, we all need to do that for us, and the teachers probably won't need, but.
But how can we go in and have it be less awkward?
We have to be
That-
careful there because really, our role is not to be there.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
but
that's
at
not,
the same time, the board needs to show an interest in,
Right.
like with the,
What if we went to assemblies?
oh, yeah,
Like, what if we went to the awards assembly? Elementary still has them every month, I think.
yeah, we could go to those, we
Yeah.
could go to ball games, we could go to
Carnivals.
anything.
right, but just to walk into a classroom.
That's not our.
Unless you
Okay.
have somebody you know and you can say, "It's an help," you know.
Are you ready for Marty Bell?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
But you're right, Jimmy, we need to-
Hi, come on in. She's one of my
Hi.
favorite students.
I'm like, that's what I was calling him. And I was my principal.
And I think I was a teacher.
They're great.
So sorry.
Welcome, Master. Welcome. I'm Ms. Susie Ramos. I'm the board chair. We're going to ask you some questions. We have them right there in case you're interested. So you can take a minute and look them over. We wanted you to know that this position that we're interviewing for is up in June. And then in June, the person who gets it would have to run again if they decided to. We'll go ahead and introduce ourselves.
I'm Jeremy Peterson.
Alicia Monk.
Double
Pat Morinaka.
Megan Robbins.
So if you want to take a minute and look over those questions, we'll go ahead and start in just a minute.
Okay, you ready? I get to ask the first question. Tell us why you think your background has prepared you to be a good school board member.
I would say most is just my upbringing. I was emotional, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right, we understand.
And as everyone probably noticed, my cover letter is just, it was one thing after another from how much, and I get sensitive because I feel like my parents have accomplished so much. And that's kind of like really inspiring to me to be a part of that. And so, as not only a child of a minority group and, you know, being here, as Susan knows, my parents did not speak English at all. But I always strive to be right up with my academics as my peers, and not that it's wrong to be an ESL student, but I never wanted to be singled out, regardless of what language we spoke at home and what language I was expected to, or what the dominant language was at school. And so I feel like my background, just always that straight, has prepared me, and I feel like I have 3 children, one at the high school, one at the middle school, one at the elementary. It's been, oh my gosh. My first was born when I was just out of high school, and it hasn't been easy, but I just completed my bachelor's degree.
That's awesome.
It's always just that, you know, strive, don't let nothing get you down. And I see that potential in more people. I mean, I'm not the only one that does this, so I want to be not only that voice for others, but kind of lead the way, lead the path. I know I'm only 33 years old, but I feel like more young people can get involved and be part of the community, especially that of their children's education. Everyone has a voice. It's just, it's the word, wanting. It's just wanting and making the change that it takes. And I would like to be that for others that don't have the courage to do so, that might confide in me and be that voice for those people.
Yeah, just so you know, my parents did the same thing that your parents, that you did for your parents. They spoke, you know, they translated. They went to school not knowing English, so, you know, I empathize, I understand.
And just, I mean, I was at the PTO, setting up during the day and making cotton candy, and it was really neat to just, because I had to ask, I said, it's the first time in a long time that I've had an elementary student here. I said, and I'm sorry if I didn't see it, but what is the carnival? I read the flyer, I read the folder that came home, and I'm so sorry if I missed it, but I showed up to volunteer, but I don't know what time the carnival's at. So I said, are you serious? I'm not kidding. And so Lucille took the time to look over all the written material that was sent out, and there was no time. So they went ahead and did like a blitz of text messages, but I see myself as that parent at times that I might not be at the school, you know, working there, but I do take the time to read the material and be as involved as I can be.
It's fantastic.
Yes, and I agree with you, because I look for the time that it started also.
So it's just those little things I feel like I could bring to the table.
All right. So what do you see as your main role as a school board member?
Well, my main role as a school board member, again, is to not only bring new ideas or a change, or what I like to say, I have like my brain is like pop rocks. Like, you come to me with a problem and I'm like, well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Oh, how about this? Well, this is a traditional way we've done this. Well, you know, have you thought about this other way? I mean, in my jobs, I've worked with the community quite a bit. I started working at a Head Start, and as everyone knows, children, I mean, they don't come with a book. You know, every child fits into the spots. So from the time I worked at the Head Start, and then transitioned to work for a community nonprofit with housing needs and homelessness. I mean, not one family is the same as another. Then I transitioned to work at the St. Peter's Catholic School, and again, every family has their own needs. And now I'm working at the Housing Authority as a Section 8 housing specialist. And still, it's just getting creative and individualizing for each family. So as a school board member, I see myself doing that again. Like, what are we needing to accomplish? How can we do that in a timely manner? And what ideas, are out of the box, just thinkers that, yes, we've always done it this way, but what else can we do to reach other families? Or how does this affect one family but not the others? Just trying to bring more to the table. With having the children, one in each school, I feel like that even prepares me just a little bit more with what's going on. The kids are involved in school quite a bit. Like, I just came from a football game. So just getting the feel from what other parents are doing or saying or being involved, I believe that's what I will be doing as my main role.
As a school board, we have an idea of qualities that we want in a school board member. What do you think those qualities are?
I would say first and foremost, confidentiality. Along with that is, communication skills. I also say teamwork.
There's no wrong answer.
Okay.
How would you deal with potential conflicts of interest, such as not favoring family members and keeping confidentiality of sensitive topics?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I've done that all my life. So, I don't believe that I ever had trouble with that. From the start, like I mentioned, my previous employments, it's just, I feel like I would be here for a purpose, not necessarily who can benefit personally from that. And just the rules apply to everyone. Rules aren't made for one set of people but not the others. It's just the same across the board. And as far as confidentiality, it's pretty simple, I guess, since that's been my whole life employment.
That's good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. What are one or two major issues you see facing in Nessa School District today? And what role do you think a school board member plays in solving these issues?
I would say the first one, because it's kind of like I mentioned previously, I try to keep up on what's coming home, whether it's text message or flyers. But the last 2 years, this year and last year, I had 2 middle schoolers and in school, and I seem to not have anything come from the middle school. So I would say that's my one. I don't know if it's an issue this school district is facing today, but as a parent, I would find that communication with the middle school to the parents could highly be improved. I get quite a bit from the high school, I get some from the elementary school. Granted, she's in kindergarten and the teacher does great. But I think the middle school, like even order forms for pictures, which is simple, I did not get from the middle school, but I did from the high school and elementary. So I feel like just that communication piece would be great, whether it's activities or fun celebrations. It doesn't have to be weekly, but even like a monthly newsletter would be great. Just getting more parents involved.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for Mario? Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, what is everyone's position? Are 6 of you on the
We're on
board
the
now?
school board, yes.
Okay.
I'm the chairman and Alicia is the vice chairman.
We are a 7-member board, so we're seeking the 7th member.
That way when we vote on things, it'll never be tied.
And I did not mention I was bilingual. I figured everyone probably knew that. But I do speak fluent Spanish and English, of course. And I can do a little bit of sign language from when we had Vanessa. I still kept my sign language. So, believe it or not, I did a Section 8 briefing in sign language. I had some help from the internet. But oh my gosh, the gentleman was so thrilled because he did not have to not have a person present. So it was like a huge, he was in tears at the end. He said, "I can't believe you took the time to work on this as best you could, even though you weren't fluent." I said, "I know, I do this, I do that, I try, I go the extra mile for people."
Thank you, we appreciate you applying.
That's great.
And I'm proud of your accomplishments.
Thank you.
What program did you get your bachelor's through?
I went through EOU and I did interdisciplinary studies, a minor in communication and in anthropology, sociology.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
I bet your parents are proud of you, huh? You've been great teachers.
And you, that was a great story. They both studied for the citizenship exam. It's not easy. I've heard that it's not very easy.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Beth.
We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
As soon as I saw her, I'm like, that was your teacher.
See? You did it.
I just know, I needed to see her face.
I think we can all take a lesson from some things that have been said on number 5.
So let me know when you're ready. He's out here.
We got 2 minutes, let's
Take a minute.
clear our minded one and get ready for the
Easy
next.
one.
Yeah, but you're right, Pat. I feel like that a lot of the things that they're bringing up are issues that we should consider because these are
Yes,
opinions coming from the outside.
and that's why I reworded that question. Because I really think that we, as a board, can get a lot just from these interviews as well as, to guide us in addition to helping us.
Oh, sorry, I don't think they're voting for it.
No, I don't look little great.
No.
I think it's interesting though, because I've had conversations with Mr. Kruger about how when they get into middle school, he wants them to start being accountable to themselves.
I know, but you know how they are. They are just too cool to
But
do
if you-
anything.
If you send a kid home with his picture packet, it's his responsibility to
That's
the
right.
parents, not,
Oh, I know, but you know how
I know.
middle school
Nothing
kids
ever
are too cool.
I know, but he taught my kids, they needed to start taking care of themselves or else it wasn't gonna get taken care of. And I appreciate what he taught them, so. Cause there were a couple times I was like, why didn't I know about this? And he's like, your kid did. So I had that discussion with my kid, it's like, you gotta let me know, and it helps them grow up.
Maybe it'd be helpful to let the parents of new middle schoolers know that so that they don't go into it.
But
thinking,
even
what
a
was-
monthly newsletter would.
Yeah, I've worked with Luke, and Luke does such a fantastic job in so many ways, but that is an area where people want more communication, right? And I appreciate your perspective on it too, saying, we're trying to teach kids, there's a fine line. You do have to communicate with parents, because kids are not always going to.
How old are 6th graders? 11? I mean, they're
12,
not-
12, yeah.
You better go grab them.
Principals and let them govern themselves.
You can go ahead and grab them.
Oh, that'd be-
Before you pop.
You didn't have a chase.
Well, I know
I
some,
still don't know stuff.
there are some
I have
5th graders that have this.
My 5th grader brings everything home.
Never.
Hey,
Hi, go ahead and have a seat down there.
thank you.
There's a list of the questions that we will be asking right there. If you want to take a minute and look them over. We wanted to let you know that the position is open and will be up for re-election in June. So whoever gets it will have to run if they so decide. We'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm Susie Ramos. I'm the chair.
I'm Jeremy Peterson.
Alicia Monk.
Megan Robbins.
So if you want to take a minute and look for those questions, we'll give you a minute and then we'll start.
Okay, I get to ask the first question. Tell us why you think your background has prepared you to be a good school board member.
Well, I'm assuming that you read the application. I've spent, I hate to use numbers because then I'm telling the whole thing, so I spent a lot of time in education. And as I mentioned in the application, education is a passion of mine because I grew up in this community. My dad's picture's out here on the wall of class of 39. And I went to school here we didn't have kindergarten in those days. But no one of our classmates passed. So my history with education is one of, there was a way for me to not have to be a farmer if I didn't want to. And my dad reminded me about that often. He said, if you don't want to be a farmer, you got to get an education. And so that was one of my motivating factors. Not that I didn't enjoy farming, but I thought there's got to be a better way. And that motivated me from that very beginning. And then the Nessa School District provided just a tremendous opportunity for me. Had I known at the time that I was being prepared for some of the things that I ended up doing, I don't know if I would have failed because it was overwhelming at the time, but if it wasn't for the Nessa School District and the patrons and the community, I would have never been able to be as successful as I consider myself to have been. And I measure that success based on how much education did I have. When I graduated from high school, I went on a mission for the LDS Church, and then it was during the Vietnam War, and I had friends in Vietnam that were writing me letters saying, don't get drafted. So when I got off my mission, I joined the Air Force, and I spent 7 years in the Air Force, Air National Guard. But all that time, I was still going to school, working on degrees, Craig Valley, Boise State, College of Idaho, because I knew that the more education I gained, the more opportunity I would have. But it goes back to the Nessa community and the opportunities that were provided on a regular basis with the staff, again, the community, the athletics, the extracurricular activities, all the things that were happening here and are still happening. Obviously, things are considerably different in the lives of our young people, but still the opportunities are here. And it's because of people like you. I've actually served on the Nessa School Board as a vice chairman, and we hired, at the time, Dennis Savage to be the new superintendent at the time. So I've experienced a lot of these things, but my passion again is continuing to contribute in any way I can. And I think that's why I ended my application with, whatever your decision is, I will support it. And my feelings will not be hurt if you make a decision to go a different direction, because I deeply appreciate each one of you, the time that you spend, and your motivation and why you're here. So, did I over answer the question there? My wife says, she's been married 52 years, she says, don't talk to me. Oh, yeah.
All right, so what do you see as your main role as a school board member?
Well, I think it's really important that the board and the superintendent work together as a team. And my role is, like with any team sport, I've played a lot of team sports over the years, love to watch team sports, but my role as a team is to be, we're not always going to agree, I understand that. But when we walk out of this room, we still have to keep our number one goal in mind, which is What's the best thing for kids? What's the best thing for parents? What's the best thing for this community? And if I disagree, I need to deal with that in a reasonable manner, which is to express it here and leave it here. I don't like, my experience as a superintendent, I don't like board members that leave with differences of opinion and then, I shouldn't use this example, but go downtown and spread that disagreement with everybody and not give the facts as they were presented. So I think I see myself as a team player, and my role would be to strengthen the board if I can, help the board if I can, and if I get in the way, the board chairman and whoever can say, hey, you know, I'm going to back off. Okay. I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can do that.
You know, as a board, we have certain qualities that we're looking for in members of this board. What do you think those qualities would be?
Well, I think I outlined how I see the board and the qualities that board members should possess. But I think the qualities as we all age, and we all will if we're fortunate, I think some of the things that I've learned as I age is that, you know, sometimes I might be 100% right, but that doesn't make me it doesn't make me better than or somebody that can just say, hey, you're all wrong about this, and so therefore, you know, you're over here. There's got to always be a way to bring people together, and that's what we got to look at. There's got to be a way to remedy different things. At the end of the year, and you all, Pat knows this, and some of the rest of you serve on boards, you're going to have critics. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how you do it, you're going to be criticized. But if you can, at the end of the day, you can look in the mirror and say, hey, as a board, we did this. We did this. I didn't agree with it, but we did this. And I think that quality is one that we learn as we, I shouldn't talk about it that much, but I've learned over the years that, well, sometimes I was 100% right, but not letting it go didn't make it better. Hanging on to something and saying, you know, if they only knew, ultimately, that's not in the best interest of the district, it's not in the best interest of the kids here. So there's times when you can be 100% right, be on the opposite side of the issue, but let go. So I'd say being willing to accept things that not necessarily the way you want, but what's the better way to get to our end goal? And make sure that we all have those goals that we talk about. And we say, what are our goals? I mean, every board that I've ever worked with, you know, you have a goal setting session. You have these goals. Refer to those goals and say, how are we doing? And so I would say, just be willing to compromise and get along. That's a pretty important quality.
That is important, definitely. How will you deal with potential conflicts of interest, such as not favoring family members and keeping confidentiality of sensitive topics?
Okay, well, let me start with confidentiality. I kind of hinted to that earlier, but for board members, confidentiality is critical, crucial. It's just really important. In every community, I've worked in 5 different school districts, and every community has at least one board member that for some reason doesn't understand that concept. For some reason, they just don't, and I don't think they mean to do harm, but when they start doing this outside of an executive session, it doesn't help anybody. And so that's a critical part of being a board member. So confidentiality is the first thing that came to my mind. What was the other one?
Not favoring family members.
Oh, not favoring family members. Yeah, and that's another one. In a small community like this, everybody knows somebody that knows somebody.
Well, your son-in-law's employed by the district too.
Yeah. Yes, so that's typical in a small district. I've seen it over and over again. And I think as a board member, I know as a superintendent, I had to be very careful about certain community members that had a lot of political clout, a lot of wealth, and they were viewed, right or wrong, they were viewed by a lot of people as, well, they get special treatment. And so when they would show up in my office, and I don't know, is there a better place to meet? Like, let's wait and go to OSBA and meet there or something in Portland. Anyway, so special treatment as a board member, I just think you're gonna be approached, that's why you're a board member, and that's what you would ask for people to do is your input, but beware of giving the appearance, beware of giving the appearance of favoring this individual or this individual because of whomever they are. So I don't know, sometimes as a board member, I would, if I knew somebody out there had it in me, had it in for me because of my religion, because of something I said at the board meeting, I'm gonna go out of my way to at least call them on the phone. Say, hey, talk to me. You don't need to talk to everybody else, talk to me.
Donnie, you just have a couple more minutes to do the last question.
Well, I might take too much time.
Okay, so what are one or two major issues you see facing in this school district today, and what role do you think a school board member plays in solving these issues?
Well, I'm speaking from a different point of view in terms of my age and my career and where I've been. If you go online, which a lot of people do now, if you go online and say, I want to learn as much as I can about this school district, it can be overwhelming. I mean, you call the phone here and you got 10 numbers. This is a small district, relatively speaking. And so I think people may not fully understand all of the different agencies and all the different phone numbers and all the different supervisors, and all the different programs. I mean, I'm on the budget committee, and that budget is a fairly complex document. I don't know if you've read it, but I have. And when I finish reading, I'm thinking, okay, could I lecture on this one? No, I need some more help. So I think helping the community understand the basics of the school district without getting into too many details, but at least explaining, how many people out there could answer the question, well, what's the title programs? What's Title I? What's Title II? What's the, all of the programs that we have. And something that maybe they can look at as a simplified, used to be that you could go online and if you wanted to know about education or you could go to Reporter's Guide to Education. It's still there. But guess what? It goes back to 2008. There's nothing there after that. Now you can go to the Department of Education and go on that one. But having people be able to, those who want to, and not everybody really cares that much, but there are those that they just don't understand everything. And the funding, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of funding that goes into this district that other districts don't get. I mean, the per student expenditure in the Nessa School District is almost, and I have to be careful because I'm going to compare it with it, but it's almost a third more than some of the other districts around here. That's a lot. But what is it for? Where's it going? And help the community understand that, because I don't think, I dare say, and I have to be careful about this, but I don't think most of your employees understand it. And that's Like I say, you don't have to be a mathematician, you don't have to be a statistician, but you should be able to understand the basics. And I'm still learning. I'm always learning, and I think as a board member, that's a critical piece as a board member. Hey, are you willing to learn and study? And I am, but I'm finding that there is differences between school districts, and some of it is, I mean, the students are ultimately the benefactors of all of this, and that's the beauty of this school district, because we really are benefiting, in my opinion, all students, some more than others, but they're all benefiting from what we get here. And as a board member, I never want to do anything to jeopardize that.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
I would like to, what's our time?
It's up.
It's up. Okay. Okay, well, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity. Mike, again, no one encouraged me to do this. If you want to know the truth, it was out of my own desire to serve. And if I can serve better by staying out of the way, no problem. I can do that.
Okay.
I do want to say a couple other things. Normally I write thank you notes to the board. I haven't done that, but I would like to thank the board for what they did last year for the veterans. I attended veterans, I'm a veteran, and I attended veterans programs in Four Rivers, Adrian, and Nessa. And Nessa the middle school did a tremendous job over here. And I wanted to write, but I didn't. And I also want to thank the board and the school district for leaving an open section in the bleachers for the class of 66. I know. But we got to sit there and watch the football game. And it was so many memories. And, you know, there was almost 100 kids in that class. And 27 are not with us on the earth right now. But just thank the board and the community for those things. And then remind the board that there's a tremendous amount of energy out there from people like myself. That for some reason, someone told them, or they told themselves, well, I'm too old. Or I need to stay out of the way, or blah, blah, blah. Tap into that. Tap into that energy. Because it'll benefit everybody. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Choice will be tough. They're very good candidates. Do we want to talk about them individually? Do we want to, how do you guys want to do this?
This is gonna be a tough choice.
Yeah, it is. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. Candidate number 4.
Should we start with candidate number 1?
Okay. Okay, candidate number 1. Let's just talk about some of that person's strengths.
She has energy.
She does have energy.
Passion.
She has a passion and a parent's perspective.
I liked that she focused on innovative ideas and bringing new ideas, not necessarily just going with the way things have always been.
And focus on solutions, not just this is the problem, this is how you try to fix it.
And the fact that that person's bilingual, be helpful. She's not a quitter.
She's a hard worker.
Talking about candidate number 1.
And let's, you know, one of our problems in our entire district, my opinion, is that we have a disconnect between the Hispanic community and the white community. And I think that her concept of bringing voice to that other community is valuable.
I think it would go a long way in meeting the 60% of our community. What's our percentage? 60.
She had a really good point, action. She's probably one of those folks that, and dealing with her, and talking with her out in public in the past, that she does have a little creativity mind.
Okay. Let's go on to candidate number 2. She's obviously got some experience.
Yeah, an understanding of budgets and policy and procedures would definitely be a valuable thing with such a young board. I feel like. We're inexperienced.
I'm struggling right now.
But it would be nice to have, losing Marlon, who was such a great asset. He really knew his stuff. And so it's important, I feel, that we make sure that whoever comes in obviously won't have the same experience because everyone's different, but this candidate definitely has some experience that could help be very helpful.
It could also be kind of harmful in that experience is from a few years ago. And if you've looked around, this is a different world. This is a post-COVID world. And we are having a hard time adjusting to it. So,
I'm kind of afraid that he might be in the good old boys club. That's just my opinion.
Yes and no. I mean, he's led a life of having to progress with education. And I mean, from when he started to when he ended, there was big progression.
I did see
I
his
think
point on the tech part, like what you're talking about. This.
He is the only one that, when he was done, he said, at the end of the day, it's all about kids. And for me, that's a pretty big one. But, yeah, good and bad.
Okay, go on to candidate number 3. She was very organized as my instructional assistant, and very energetic, I can say that.
She definitely has creative ideas, and I know that people did feel appreciated when she was working with them.
she did point out that we have a lot of staff turnover, and she talked about the student struggles. So she has some insight there. She's got experience, it's just not experience necessarily with a second-hand board.
Anybody can raise 6 boys, I think that's up there.
But I think it's also important, she was mentioning being able to understand different points of view is important.
And I did like that she mentioned that all of our kids need to be served as they should, and we need to make sure that that's happening.
I agree, because they always give me a list and say, well, who do you want checking in for summer school? I'd say, these 5 kids, well, they're not mine, they can't go.
Right.
And you're gonna be like,
We really have to figure a way around that.
There is a summer school grant, it's available.
We're getting that one next year.
yeah, I
It
hope
was
so,
$90,000.
because it's so hard that you see these other kids struggling and you don't get the extra help.
This is what, $800 a kid for summer school?
Too much.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's 100 plus kids.
It's 100 plus kids.
Right.
So
Okay, well, good that we're working on it, that's awesome.
move on to candidate number 4. She's got a lot going for her.
She does.
Bilingual.
Has
The management piece, education piece.
Yeah,
Got a good blend of that, experience.
definitely some management.
Again, she talked about attendance, enrollment, and staffing, keeping staff there.
And, you know, when she talked about the attendance and enrollment and that sort of thing, that isn't just something that you learn out in the community. That, I mean, she did get that in other areas. I do have concern about the relationship within the district. It can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. And that's, especially right now, the position we're in, that
Yeah, and
Is
right
it-
now, we really need a 7-board, or a 7-member board. And if we have to exclude somebody, that's,
You're saying in discussing like the migrant situation,
Investigation.
investigation?
that's,
I did really like though that she said that about being a lifelong learner, that she seems really interested in making a difference and in learning all that she needs to be a part of this board.
Yeah, the piece that goes with that was the offering to other things.
Right.
yes.
And she's the only candidate that applied both times.
She is.
So it's not just it's an opening, I wanna do it because I just heard about it, it's,
Something she's
Consistent.
passionate
Didn't
about.
she apply to the budget board also?
yes, she did,
Megan, was she on the budget?
she was,
She
well, she was.
She applied,
Okay.
so
So
she has a definite interest.
maybe is there one or two we could eliminate? I mean, narrow it down. I know.
It's tough, well, we're big candidates.
It's hard, it's a small community, you know them all from one degree or another.
And they're
Why
all-
are we saying
all-
somebody else can say it because it's being recorded? It's not gonna be me.
Do you feel like that there would be an issue with the investigation?
Candidate number 4.
You know, I don't think so. In the little bit that I'm gathering, so I don't really know what's gonna happen, right? Mrs. Murdock, all of you have asked me, please keep us informed, please let me know. And I just, you know, it's not that I'm not trying to communicate with you, they're dragging me along too. So I do get emails on occasion that says pretty soon. Our findings are with the Department of Justice right now, right? And so that's the latest email I got. What that means, I don't have any idea. I do not think in anything I've been able to find that there is any deliberate attempt by anyone to defraud goals about any of this. Whatever they decide though, I don't know how they're going to rule on any of that. Who does that implicate? Certainly the supervisor of the program and certainly the director of the program. But I just don't think there's, you know, from my own perhaps naive mind, I don't think there's anything that would point. I mean, the implication that he had done something wrong is the supervisor. His re-interview with the investigators went really well. He's like, I did my own internal investigation, right? Very legitimate explanation. And so I think, from his point of view, things have really changed in how he's interacting with ODE people. So that feels different, right? People aren't thinking, well, you dirty dog. I've felt that all along. You know, it's an easy communication for me. So who's implicated? I don't know. I don't know what Department of Justice is going to find. Perhaps the ruling is only on financials, what they're looking at. As far as criminality, I don't think there's any of that. But so the question on this candidate for school board, I don't know. I believe her when she said, "I've practiced that in my job. I've done it all my life, and I can continue to do it." So I trust that she could, even if it involved with family.
Okay, so I think we do need to narrow it down.
last time in Rankin,
Oh,
You want to rank them?
would you keep track of that for us, Megan?
I tried.
So candidate one, number
So put a 1 by the one you like the most, a 2 by the one you.
by names. How about we do names?
No, it's the candidate numbers.
So,
So everybody rank their own in order, from first to last, and then we'll see how many of us.
I have 2 number 1s and no 2.
You got a tie? That goes to the winner.
And then maybe we can, if we have a clear
Does our vote,
bottom.
I mean, does it have to be on camera? Like, how can we turn this into Jeremy without saying stuff out loud?
Just do it.
So that people don't know that there are no.
Well, once the vote is taken and we have a candidate, you can say that.
But, and whatever our vote ends up being in our ranking, doesn't mean that
That's what it's
whoever
gonna
the
be.
highest is who it's gonna be.
Yeah.
That just
So
kinda
maybe
gives
we
us
could
something
get rid
to
of the
go by.
bottom 2 and talk
Right.
about the top 2. That's what we did
There
last
you go,
time.
that's how you want to do it, okay.
Right.
Tell us when you have your little chart ready. Or how are you gonna put it?
Well, because everybody has theirs, right?
Yep.
And as soon as you get my papers, my papers order, paper order.
Same exact numbers I do.
Good eyesight.
You got a school?
No, usually people are cheating on me.
Oh,
So our number 1 gets 4 points, right?
Your number 1 choice,
Yes.
are you telling all this, or just me?
Maybe you can keep track too. Let's make sure Jeremy's doing it.
Do you want,
So our number 1 will get 4 points, our number 2 will get 3 points, our number 3 will get 2 points, and our number 4 will get 1.
Reverse order?
I don't like being confused, but that was.
Yes, no, it makes sense.
Okay, you want to start with Pat and just go around the room?
so do you want me to say number 1?
My
Yes.
number 1 was candidate number,
Candidate number 1, my opinion, 4 points. Number 3,
Oh, sorry.
Sounds like-
Are you saying candidate number 1 is number 1?
Is your number 1 choice?
is my number 1 choice.
Okay.
Okay. Then number 3, number 4, and number 2. That's not me.
I'm gonna do it a little different. Candidate 1 is number 1, candidate 2 is number
very go slow.
3. Candidate 3 is, wait, it's what?
Candidate 2.
Mine's the same as hers.
Okay, so it's 1, 3, 4, 2.
Number 1, 2, oh, 1, 4, 2, 3.
1, 4, 2, 3.
It's the same as hers.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
It was different.
This is 1, 3, 4, 2.
Oh, you did.
1, 3, 4, 2.
You didn't
Oh.
cheat, right?
No, I wrote the same. I thought she was doing it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay,
You're
so
1, 1,
4 for number 1.
Candidate 4 is your first choice.
Yes. Candidate 2 is my 3rd choice.
Who's your second choice?
4.
You just said 4 was your first choice.
It has 4 points. Number 1 is 4 points.
Just tell her your order.
Okay.
Tell them your
1, 4, 2, 3.
That's
That's
the
order.
candidate number.
Yes.
1,
In
4,
the order you wrote, chose that.
Okay. You got 4 things down there.
Okay, my first choice is candidate number 4. My second choice is candidate number 1. My third choice is candidate number 3. And my fourth choice is candidate number 2.
My first choice is candidate number 3. Second, nope, sorry, take that back. First choice is candidate number 4. That you can read your notes. My second choice is candidate number 2. Third choice is candidate number 1. And fourth choice is candidate number 3.
Okay, so I'm just gonna give the candidate number.
That's all I want.
Candidate number 4. Candidate number 1. Candidate number 2. And candidate number 3.
And tell us yours.
These are all very different. Mine is 2, 3, 1, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4.
So
3, 2,
what's our order with Mr. Matt?
I'll figure all that out. So you keep talking about
But in just looking at it,
it. Number 1 was very high. And so is number 3. And 4. 1, 3, and 4 are pretty easy.
So you can cross off Canada number 2.
Yeah, I don't even know what.
Okay. So get rid of Canada number 2.
How are you gonna score that?
Oh,
Okay.
Maybe we should think about why we like one over the other.
Honestly, I think that they all would be
I'd be
acceptable
satisfied
to
with any
Canada,
one
I
of
would be
those.
fine with any of them.
But I just wonder if it would go a lot, go really far in the community to have a Hispanic bilingual person. And I just wonder if that would be,
Well, I don't doubt it.
help get some of those people that don't understand the workings of school.
Or at least feel like there's somebody they can go to if they have questions or concerns.
Someone that represents them.
That's just my opinion.
That was always a benefit of the city council when we had, Diego and also Osama, they were doing cameras with.
Because they're just naturally gonna gravitate towards who they feel comfortable with, because I know Susie probably gets a lot of teacher calls. And I know I get a lot of teacher calls.
And I get a lot of Hispanic calls because they think because of
Levels.
levels. Let me ask one.
First biggest fans to you.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, we're kind of looking at candidate 1 and 4.
Yes.
Are those the higher ones?
Yes.
And I think both of them would be very well qualified. And willing to learn. Both of them kind of sounded like they're,
So candidate 1 doesn't have as much experience with education, but with the community being what her job is, she does have
she works for Section 8. Is that like low income getting into housing assistance? Right? Which probably a lot of our families are on Section 8. You know, they wouldn't be embarrassed to talk to them.
right.
Angelica works at candidate number 4 works at the Head Start and Early Intervention, so she wouldn't be familiar with a lot of the families. Both of them grew up here, you know, a lot of families.
And they've had similar backgrounds with the
First generation.
the ESL students. I don't know, we don't want to be.
Does anybody have anything negative to say?
Yeah,
about
we just
one
want
or
one
four?
on her for the next thing.
I know, I wondered if we do that. And we say, well, we've already interviewed and we liked this one, so can we be a next choice? Dr. Johnson?
Sure.
If we have another opening, do we have to re-interview or can we say we liked, this was our number 2 choice last time, we can just take it?
Legally, you have to. We have to reopen.
Just one.
We open and reconsider. You know, like Angelica interviewed last time and this time. So
Do you have anything to say about either one of those?
number 1, the top 2.
Yes, the
Okay.
bilingual ones.
Yes. I think, you know, one of them is obviously more experienced, has more life experience, has more, perhaps applicable work experience because the education field. The other one, I think, I don't know, she had some really good ideas. I think she's young. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. They're both young, actually, I should say that.
You just say you're all.
I'm old. I'm older than both of them. No, the youngest or the least experienced, I still felt like she has incredible number 1 ideas and incredible heart for.
But that'd
For
be
this
weird though to have a
community.
teacher and a student on the same board.
That would be just great. And a principal, a principal, a teacher, and a student forward.
I mean, I know both 1 and 4, you know, that because I can't get out of PTO, my life depended on it. They're both really good about volunteering and being part of the team.
So, I know we put 2 out, but are we completely putting out somebody who does have some a little bit of inside look? I mean, I know it's with the 2 of you on here, it's kind of nice to have somebody that has been in there, kind of knows some of the struggles that are in there. I mean, are we throwing 3 out?
Oh, we could.
Are we just down to 1 and 2?
We were doing 1 and 4. But I liked,
That's what I meant.
Top
Sorry.
two.
I liked number 3 also. I'd be happy with any of the ladies.
But I think if we're talking about people, we need to make sure we're including.
A Hispanic bilingual. So,
The thing with appointing board member is that we have the opportunity to, I hate to say this, but hand select someone,
Well,
you know.
I should say this too, and I apologize for interrupting you, but the election will come up soon. So when we say June 30th, the election's before that, the appointment is soon after June.
and I hate to say this, but a lot of Hispanic people don't vote. Am I correct?
That's fine. And so a recognized name on the board helps you, I think, you know, if you get appointed, then your name gets recognized up in the community. So, I don't know, you know, you're the board, you're my bosses, I certainly don't want to be involved in picking, I just want to give good advice, which I think you all have really great thoughts about this, so.
I feel like candidate number 4 tips it in that direction because of the management experience and would probably have a little bit more experience with things like budgets and just, not politics per se, but policies. More of a leader.
And I do think communication is important, as candidate 1 said. But I think that the 2 major issues, the attendance and enrollment and the staffing, are big ones right now.
Yeah, we're working on staffing it, Mrs. Bornick. HB 4030, we're working on that.
Donnie, what's your opinion?
I'm not in the same boat. I mean, we make a decision between 4 and 1 per se was just a simple fact that 4 has more experience. Understanding what the school's going on, what she has a lot of great opportunities, her ideas, like Dr. Malcolm was talking about. I mean, and I think she did just a great job on that end of it. I think having a certain interest or a concern that you have with number 4. But I think at the end of the day, if it's so bad that we're keeping, so it's one thing, but at the end of the day, she'll still know what to do. And who knows? I mean, we have a minor thing going on now. It could have happened 6 months down the road, and she would have been on with us if we chose her, and she's still with it. So that's just how I see it. So for me, you know, me picking 4, she has a blended experience plus the bilingual pieces, which are not bilingual piece, but the community or the tie-in with the Hispanic community, which we really need. We see a lot of tough stuff that was within the city and having to get them more interested in what we're doing in city politics. And I always like to see them get more involved because we're missing a lot of really good stuff that we don't have in there.
And that should be one of our big things, is to get more family involvement.
Yeah.
Because that will make us a stronger school, and it will really help our kids.
And I like that she, candidate 4, you know, she's applied for this spot on the board. She's applied for the budget committee. She wants to do something.
And I think she was the first candidate like the next day to the flood. Am I correct, maybe?
Yeah, she has definitely has a desire of want to do this. It's not what she wants.
Sometimes persistent wins out.
Don't remember, we're not allowed to vote, right? That needs to happen at the next board meeting.
But we can make us say our recommendation is is for,
I think I don't know, but I'm thinking we can run perhaps, I don't know if it's a consensus, but certainly,
I'll be honest, I think she's more than qualified. I just think she's too close to the subject.
so would you go for candidate number one? Out of the two?
Out of the two,
Mm-hmm.
me personally, probably. But that's, I mean, we're talking to the board here, that's me.
My feelings wouldn't get hurt with either decision, honestly.
I could go for one for either one.
And I have concern about, number 4, like you do, Jeremy. You know, the relationship is too close at this time. I mean, you know, as you said.
tough time.
It's just, I mean,
But, yeah, it's certainly tough.
and it's tough, because honestly, before you qualify. I mean, they're all qualified for the position, but
Right, but should we hold something against her for something that her husband didn't even do? Like, that's a really roundabout consequence.
I'm not saying she's guilty of anything other than association.
that.
And when you start dealing with conflict of interest, it's a big issue, and it can come back on all of us.
Would there be a
Because
time when you
candidate
have to
2 did
excuse her?
say, beware of appearances.
That's what Jeremy said, I think you said we really need 7 board members. We don't need somebody abstaining.
And is there a time when, I mean, are we gonna have to vote on something where she would have to excuse
It's
herself?
possible.
We don't know.
Perhaps.
It's very possible.
I guess my question is, what would we go on in a situation like that? See, most of that's gonna be dealt with at an admin level.
It is.
At the state level or
The only thing that you perhaps would vote on is if I had to carry out some sort of personnel action and it was appealed to the board, but then the board would, yeah. Because anything else, ruled by ODE or the Department of Justice, we just, it's pretty much mandated. I suppose there's an appeals process for us, rebuttal process, but that would not involve board vote.
Should we do a silent vote and everybody write on a piece of paper or anything?
Well, I think if there's concerns, then the community's gonna have concerns.
And at this point, it's in the middle of it, and so I'm aware of some information, but I feel like it's completely understandable, whatever guilty look is upon that family, and I understand it, but
And that's what's difficult, is we
Not
are
everybody knows
not
it.
casting blame. We are not in any way saying.
the fact is
somebody
that
did something.
associated.
Right. It's just, you know, I mean, after this is all over, it's a completely different ballgame, right? And one way or the other, but I'm just a little apprehensive about it. That's me, that's my personal, and like you said, I think there's a lot of people that would kind of question that decision.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, we're all politics, and the big parents is probably the bigger reason for us.
Well, we represent the community.
That's what I'm saying, we're in politics. And, you know, doing it from the law enforcement side is something that we're dealing with every day. And I guess come back and bite you when we're not elected officials. But in this capacity, it is an elected issue, and it's very much a fun, so. It's easy to.
Well, and my concern is where we're trying to be so much more transparent, that why are we trying to cover something up by putting somebody in?
Oh.
Well, we're not, but it might appear that way.
Right,
right.
I know, and that's what I
Right,
mean.
that
As
appears.
you said,
That's
I
what
had
I mean.
considered
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Very much to work on.
So problem though, because I really believe that she's probably a better candidate.
Right, for sure.
I agree.
And if we think she's a better candidate, then let's vote for it.
Can we vote between the two? Like, I
It's
feel like
gonna-
it's gonna be a tie.
We're not voting, though.
No, not voting, but expressing our number one choice.
I
You mean
really like
expressing our
candidate,
top candidate choice.
Yes.
I really like candidate number one, but I think hers is more lack of experience and kind of emotional. Whereas number four might be more experience and more,
So you would say number 4?
it's very close. I'd be okay with either one, but I would say number four. I don't know, it's hard.
I think they both have passion. I just worry that for it's gonna come across that we're sending a message that we're not trying to send. So I guess we have to go one.
I felt that same way, and number four has tremendous qualifications, but I do get concerned about what we would be seen as doing, and I would go with number one for that reason.
Yeah, I'm along the same lines of, it's just they're really close in my opinion, and I think those one or the other. I'm gonna look at the experience side, and I'll go with the floor when I first pick anyone, and that's just what I'm gonna stick with, and let you make that decision with it, but at the same time, it's, there's a valid concern with it.
Do you have any guesses when this all might wrap up?
So, Jennifer, her last name, she's the assistant superintendent, has been in communication with me. She emailed me yesterday and said, it's at DOJ, we expect it in a couple of weeks, but they told me that a couple of weeks ago. So, short staff, backlog.
Well, what if we said we can't get that information to you, we're short staffed? I mean, hello?
It only works one way.
Yeah. Just like my Oregon tax refund,
It's
it's
like
been here for
taxes for
12 months,
Yeah, some things only
but
work
they
one
paid
way.
like 30 cents interest on
So,
it.
that's okay.
I would say number 4.
Thanks, George.
That's what I said, there's 12.
Well,
Did you go with it?
I'd say 1, but I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball. I think it's between 1 and 4, but if 4 was out of it, I think it'd be between 1 and 3, and I would vote 3.
I liked 3 also, I mean,
So, are we back to square one?
why did some people not like candidate number 3? I mean, was it,
I honestly think the reason,
it's because she's not
and this
Hispanic.
is my opinion, and that is the bilingual thing.
It is.
I think if it wasn't for that, I think number 3 would have been higher.
I think number 3, just knowing her, because she worked with me, she's so easy to work for, and she's gonna be the one that says, let's apply for this grant, I'll do it, she's gonna be the one that fills her plate full, and I'll do it. I know she's very easy to work with and very positive.
Well, between 1 and 3, there's probably equal amounts of experience.
Where was
As far as one.
For
candidate 4, so they
Donnie
worked in the district?
disappeared during your.
She did, she worked here as a
Name
maid
change
for a
in the
while.
statement.
Which
Number
building?
3 has a little bit
Not
more
elementary.
experience with budgets
Do you know
and policy.
High school? She worked at the high
and
school as an
working for-
assistant.
For how many years?
Number 3?
Oh,
No, four. She was the other.
4.
Candidate number 4 was?
Oh, sorry. Number 4. Oh, sorry, I was talking about candidate.
Yeah,
number
she
three.
was, candidate 3 was my assistant.
Sorry. So now that Donnie's back, I better say what you said.
Guess what, instead of 2, now we're going to have to 3.
So I throw everybody a curveball. Here's my theory. So if we're talking between 1 and 4, we're split, but if we take number 4 out, I think honestly the race would be between 1 and 3. And personally, I think 3 has maybe a little bit more familiarity with how the school runs than number 1. Maybe what conflict or things need to work on, but I'm just throwing stuff out there for people to think about. So throw it back. So I think we're back to not knowing.
That's what happens. That's why I like to look there.
How important, Darren, do you think it is to have a Hispanic bilingual person on the board?
I've always, well, it is a reflection of our community. We do want to hear voices. We do want to hear the voices of different members of our community, right? I just think, now, the fact of the matter is, Hispanics can run for school board too, right? Like you guys did. They can put their name in and run for it. 2 of them are, in essence, running for it tonight, so that's good. I don't know if I need to do a better job of reaching out or getting more Spanish speakers on our budget committees, or we try really hard to include them in all the parent activities and stuff. So anyway, I think it's a cultural thing. Some people are more involved than others, regardless of that background, right? But I do think it's important. But I think you're trying to choose the best candidate, and maybe that carries more weight to it. So.
Well, number 1 is she's got some fire in her. I mean, she really does. And I think she would be a good
Are you talking about candidate number 3?
number 1
Okay.
again.
Okay.
I think she would be a good bridge in the Hispanic community.
But she does wear her heart right here, and I mean, nothing, because I'm so proud of her, but I'm just saying, is she gonna be,
Tough decisions on the board.
yeah, I mean, sometimes we don't have time to cry about stuff, we just go.
But we need to take time because this is our community.
Maybe she's the one that'll actually show some emotion on our board.
Are you saying?
Well,
we're
yeah.
not-
I mean, I don't know, you're the mean one, right? So,
What?
you're the mean one, so.
No.
If number 4 was off the board,
Yep.
I would vote for number 1.
If number what, 4 was
If
out?
number 4 was out, because that's actually my top
I
choice,
think I would too.
I would vote for number 1.
I'd say over there, though. Well, she's emotional, but, I mean, emotion is another way a person can handle business. It's not really a shun, in my opinion. I mean, we have leaders we deal with and in our line of work, and some are emotional leaders. I got tied between 2 of them. I'm not necessarily logical one, I end up being babysitting both of them, but anyway. So, yeah, but some of the most, the emotional leaders that I work for, you see what they is.
Well, and she's very young, because she's same age as Chelsea, my daughter.
This might be your next Don Bowler that's on the board.
Oh,
right?
God. Okay, not, was she expecting? I mean, is she gonna be on maternity leave pretty soon?
I ain't touching that.
I know, I didn't wanna say anything.
No idea.
Well, she looked like it to me, I was just like, I don't know, is she on maternity leave?
Hey,
Oh,
you
well,
know, when I was on the TDCC board, I was,
expecting.
yeah, I also was expecting, but I mean, I was in my 30s.
Yeah, I just think,
Very
wow,
young,
she's
so-
the same age as my daughter. But she does bring that perspective, and she has a high school, and a middle school, and a kindergarten.
I've had interactions with her, like I say, good interactions with her, good professional, and I've seen, just listening to her present herself today versus the different times I've talked to her in years past, and there's definitely a level of maturity there that she's reached. She's been a very mature person anyway, but, there's definitely a level of maturity difference that I've seen.
The other thing I was thinking about candidate number 1 is that some of the wraparound support systems that are out there in the community, she would be a great resource for that.
Is her family still here?
I believe so.
I understand.
I believe so. Not really positive. I know she's gonna have to stay in the house, but I don't know what's the plan.
33 years.
Basically, yeah.
So where are we at?
I said first seat, I don't want you.
So are we at candidate number 1, candidate number 4, and candidate number 3 in that order? Is that where we're at?
I think, yeah, if I think three, probably have to. The more we talk, I think that number one's gonna be
Better fit
better
overall.
received.
We know we're gonna have another position coming up. So.
Maybe?
Oh,
But we'll see.
I've been talking to her mother-in-law.
Yeah.
okay.
No, honestly, no papers have been signed. We have been trying and so far,
So respectful to
yeah, I know.
you. We're glad to be stuck with you.
Why don't we
Yeah.
get it?
How much you sent out on that?
So I guess that would be the thing, is that if down the road, next spring, I do end up leaving, we need to let number 4 know how close this was. And hopefully by then, all of the investigation stuff will blow over and it would just be like an automatic shoe-in.
But you never know, we might get somebody else that blows their socks off in the interview.
That's true.
I mean,
never know,
these
that's-
are 4 very good candidates.
They're wonderful people, all of them.
So
This is
on
probably like
Monday
trying
night,
to
we're going
let
to
me talk to
recommend.
the car salesmen. They all said good things. And he's like, and he's like, I'm walking out of here in a car, whether it's yours or mine, it doesn't matter to me.
So you guys are okay with nominating or voting on the candidate number 1 on Monday night? Is anybody not okay with that?
We're comfortable with any of the choices that we
Were we supposed to do something with HB 30,
40-30.
40, 30?
We were just gonna get some
Just
information.
give a break, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Just-
you got
just
someone.
that.
I was gonna give a brief update. So HB House Bill 4030 is called the Education Retain Recruitment and Retention Grant. So the district has received $171,000, $600 and I have read a plan to receive the grant. And so basically, what are we going to do to retain our employees and to recruit employees? Because it's a problem, and we all recognize it's a problem. In many of the instances this year, we only had one applicant, right? And even that candidate was not, didn't have the proper certification qualifications. And so, Mrs. Mornock has been on that committee with us. We've had a group of administrators and teachers. Crystal Rideau has represented the confidential staff.
And the union presidents.
And the union presidents are both classified and certified, and not just presidents, but the classified has vice president as well. So everybody's weighed in on this about how can this money benefit all of us. And we have come up with lots of things. I erased it up there, Pat. And not only from what we wrote, but every time I have a call from somebody, I write some more stuff. And I asked Luke today, I said, Luke, we need to have another meeting. He's like, I don't want another meeting. Just everything you guys agreed to, I agree with. Anyway,
So what are some of your suggestions?
let me pull this up. I took a picture of it, so when I write it down.
It's been an interesting conversation. Because you're trying to increase retention as well as we need to be that recruitment. And the other thing is that there's some brilliant ideas, but we have certain parameters that we need to follow.
What we wrote for the grant.
Yeah, and I think we can get everything in there.
So one of the things we talked about is if we go to job fairs, because, traditional job fairs where you go when university students or candidates come up to you and interview, I've been to them many times. We try to have an attractive table or an attractive display. And I remember going with Jenny Weeks to one in Portland, and she had a map of Oregon with a big star on NISA. So you're in Portland, right? People come up and they're looking, and there's Portland on the map. They're like, when they look over here to the east, they're like, see you later, right? Well, that's a lot of people, and that's okay. They don't want to be in NISA. But, so that is kind of the old way. And so one of the things we talked about was finding a marketing company to create a NISA those who have a drone that could fly around, take pictures, take video of NISA, highlights of NISA with the,
Highlights of our school.
of our school, of our
Some of the things that
community.
we do.
Does he do
He
that
does
stuff?
amazing.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
He's done a lot of it during, like last year during, I think it was Halloween, on the trunk or treat on Old Main Street. And he did like a beautiful display of drone work and
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
And
that.
that's what we do.
Okay.
Well, just
Because
the
we were
fact
trying
that
to say,
every
well, who's
school's
the company you
together
hire?
and-
Because we have money to pay, right, to market our school and what we offer to candidates. Not only that, but we can put it on our website, right? One of the things that was said is our website is not user-friendly, it's difficult to navigate, so we're working on that.
But that, working on the website does not come out of this funding.
No, it's
Working
not.
on the website, it's already.
it's just something that our tech people should be doing. Right?
So, we talked about allocating a certain amount of money for recruitment swag, like giving people a t-shirt from NISA or a bracelet or something that just is welcome to NISA, the best district in Oregon or whatever we have.
I have like 50 frisbees from my school.
Well, we wanted to compete with, we'll give you 51.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the kind of stuff we have to do.
And then nail file.
Competing
Oh, my
for
God.
teachers.
We want to give an early signing bonus to every employee who will sign with our district early, a $2,000 signing bonus. It was discussed that in the $2,000 range, people say, is that enough to say, hey, come to us? Somebody else may offer $3,000. I have no idea, but you know, those are.
That's if we offer them a job.
Yes.
Okay.
They
And
sign,
then
they
they
sign up
accept.
for a year.
And they sign
But early. Okay.
But they won't get that money if they don't stay for their full contract.
And hope,
For a
we
year.
discussed this, that would be, that amount of money would be direct to the individual. The payroll taxes would come out, the grant,
So they get 2,000.
yes.
Oh,
I mean, you wouldn't be 2,000 minus all the payroll.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Positional board, I'm kidding.
Is 2,000 enough?
Oh, no, they got that longevity bonus the year after I quit.
So we're trying to get a retention bonus for people who are within, so the bonus, the longevity bonus begins to be paid in year 5. So we are trying to offer a longevity bonus of $500 for everybody in years 1, 2, 3, 4, if they sign up for another year. That's talked about a $500, and that's not a lot, but it's still, it gets them in the contract. You know.
That would also be direct and the payroll taxes be paid out of that grant.
And when they're so not very far on the lap on the steps,
They're gonna
There-
That
raise-
helps, $500 helps.
it doesn't, I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference district to district when you're at that point.
And the last thing is to pay training and tuition reimbursement for people who are wanting to go, aides who want to go back to college to become a teacher.
We've talked about that in the past, even before this, you know.
Adrian.
I already know a couple of instructional assistants that are ready to go back, they just can't afford it.
Continuing
Now
education
we have
for our
our
teachers.
continuing, not just our teachers, but we want to offer it to our
Right.
cafeteria people, to our maintenance.
What
people. We go
about teachers that are licensed but want
That's
endorsements in
another
other
thing.
areas? Because I know that the ESOL endorsement, there's quite a few teachers that want to get it, they just
Okay.
don't.
So the problem with this grant, this HB 4030, is that it lasts only until June 30.
So we gotta
it's a
spend all
one-time-
the money?
We do,
Yes.
so we're trying to figure out how to get it spent and how to get it to people and I don't know, it's just kind of fun to have that much money to figure out how to get to people.
The other thing
And
that
then
we
market
had
our
talked-
district, so.
The other thing that we had talked about is, you know, all our employees are potential recruiters.
Oh,
So
yes.
if they bring
Mm-hmm.
recruit somebody who is qualified and
And
who
gets
actually
hired.
applies, they would get a
Bonus.
recruiting bonus, a headhunter's fee.
Are we talking about anybody who applies or the ones you hire?
Well, that's
I would
something that
say
we need to work into that.
But the
And
more
so
people
some
that
of
apply,
those-
the bigger the pool, unless they're all not qualified.
And so
But they have
sometimes
to
you
be
say,
qualified, yeah.
it is, you know, up to this amount of money, because
We
this is
talked
what
about
we
a
have to
$500
spend.
headhunter fee.
So, but I mean, there are some of those details that need to be worked out, but those are
That was really Pat is the one who said our best marketers are those who work here.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
pay them, let's
We
really.
actually, sat, when I sat at one of the chiefs conferences, Chief Brown and I sat in there, talked about that. They're talking about all these recruitment strategies, big old fancy videos, and then you pay $30,000-$40,000 for it. I'm like, for this, we don't have that much money. I'm like, our biggest recruiters are our employees. If we treat them right and do the things we're supposed to do, they're well recruited for us. So, yeah.
And one of the other things that I suggested was that we set aside some money so that we can actually send our recruiters to these job fairs.
And not just in the Portland area, there's,
Right.
That's right. Plus, we need to set some money aside to advertise in the National Professional.
We have been
Journals.
very regional, and the fact is, there are other people out there in who knows what state or what area who are looking for.
But even like Bend,
Relocation.
Lapine area, it is nearly impossible for a teacher, they have licensed teachers in that area that cannot get hired.
Right.
Because there are not enough jobs.
Yeah, because that's a resort area.
One of the girls that I work with, she used to teach in Bend, Lapine. She said, I will never get hired back there because they will just hire somebody else.
but you know,
And
maybe
she's a
in
sped teacher.
Tennessee or something, there's people who enjoy the country hunting,
You're
fishing,
gonna
right?
see more and more people wanting to get out of the city, so if you can get to those places and say,
That's
hey,
right.
come teach in this.
That's why we need that national,
So we
People
can,
look at it as a weakness, but we need to turn that into a strength. It's like, we are rural, we're out in the middle of nowhere.
But we're close
Yeah.
enough to Boise if you want to go shopping or to an
Well,
airport.
But we should be recruiting in Idaho too,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the pay difference
Yes.
pay difference.
is,
But one of the other things is, and I asked our committee this, there are certain areas that we need to recruit people. We truly do. And my personal opinion, we need to recruit somebody to replace Tom Whaley, fill that position. We don't have anybody. You know, there are other positions. If we have to go to, they make us change all these, our engines to, what is it, electric or something else, we're gonna need different mechanics. You know, we need to be thinking in advance.
Having to catch on that electric car thing.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know, these are things that
Right, you
we
gotta
need
do
to
something
think
about
about. And at that P2P meeting, the Poverty to Prosperity meeting, they talked about youth science. And youth science is a program or whatever, it's like almost like an aptitude test. But it is supposed to give predictive value to where our kids, where their interests are going to be. So we look at 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, and we see that they're all gonna be interested in, say, you know, making movies. Well, our high school needs to be prepared
That's
to
interesting.
say, you know, we can do this. We can help you kids with this type of thing. We can offer classes. But I mean, these are things that we need to be looking at. And another really huge thing is we really need to get our community behind us. We need to get our families involved.
Okay,
So,
all right. This meeting is adjourned.
George, we may want to take your packets home.
Oh, and did you get, so are we gonna go into executive session Monday?
we're gonna look